Hello, you. It's me. And another sad day. It is 9/11. And somebody asked me to do a video about my experience with 9/11. And I thought, well, here we are. So why not? Now, 9/11, of course, for me was very different from anybody who happened to be in New York. I live in California, although my child's father was from New York. So this is what happened. Got up early that morning. It was a school day. So I was getting my child ready for school. We were running a little bit later than usual, but we were gathering everything up when I got a phone call from my child's father. And he said, "Have you seen the news?" I said, "No, I just got up. And got ready for school. We're on our way. What happened?" And his voice was visibly shaking. He just says, "Turn on the news." And I said, "Okay, but why?" And he said, "We've just been attacked in New York." And this went in one ear and right out the other. I just was like, "What are you talking about? I need to get, our child to school." I wasn't irate, but I just was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? He said, "Turn on the news." So I turn on the television, and because, that was customary at the time, I turn on the television, and I'm looking at every channel, and every channel shows one of the towers being struck by an airplane. And I was in shock. I just sat there. I told my child, "Sit down. We need to see what's going on." And I was watching before the second tower got struck. I'm not sure about the Pentagon when it got struck. I think it was the third thing. But anyway, I was watching. I watched live while the second tower was struck. And I just told my child, "Sit down, because we need to stay at home where we're safe and figure out what's going on." Not too long after that, I was just in shock, quite frankly. I was literally in shock, where you experience the only thing that you hear, kind of like a high-pitched noise, and your heartbeat, like that kind of shock. And I just sat and watched for a while, and I let my child go into their room and, fiddle around while I sat and watched the news. And that's when it came out that there are people threatening to bomb schools in Los Angeles. Apparently, there were more than one target in Los Angeles because it's such a big city. They were threatening to bomb schools in Los Angeles. And I was terrified. And so I decided, we're going to stay home today. I talked to my child's father again and said, "Yeah, we're going to stay home and wait and see what happens." But it was terrifying. Nobody knew it was happening. Nobody knew who was striking, how they were striking, how much more or less that they were going to be striking. It was really frightening. And I know for myself, my whole life kind of paused for a couple days until it was more clear. Okay, it doesn't look like anything else is going to happen right now. But I remember for at least a month or two, I was greatly affected. And everything just kind of stands still because you're afraid to move. And I was definitely fearful that something could hurt my child or myself or my family or my friends, or it was just a horrible time. It really was. And again, it felt like a standstill because America, the United States to be more specific, I don't remember ever getting attacked by anybody else. And I just remember, like, gosh, if they can attack New York, they could attack here, they can attack Chicago, they can attack anywhere. And it was such a scary experience. It really, really was. And then the loss of over 3,000 people, firefighters, police. I mean, it was so scary. It was so scary. But the thing that shocked me was how easily people seemed to get over it. Within a couple months, instead of waving American flags, people were waving basketball teams. Here in LA, I guess they were hoping for a second win back to back. They just moved on. I had a hard time moving on. And maybe it's just because I am a person who feels maybe a little too much. I feel things strongly. And it really took me a while to not think about it every second of the day. But it was really interesting to see how other people were affected. In fact, I remember maybe a week after, I saw some guy who was in Vegas, I think it was, who was interviewed, and he said, well, what do I care? It didn't affect me. And this was only a week out. Anyway, that was my experience with 9/11. It sucked. It was scary. I don't really have any words for that. I've been at a loss for words a lot lately. I'm still so sad about Charlie Kirk. I'm sad about that lovely woman who passed away at the hands of some guy. Some said he might have been in a gang. I haven't really read much up on the guy who committed the crime because I don't care. He's not my focus. Put him away. Keep him safe. Keep the world safe from him. And let's talk about that beautiful young woman who lost her life and how sad that is. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk, who was only 31 years old. I mean, he was also quite young. Just when you think the world has changed, the world stays the same. And that can be good, and that can be bad. I don't know. I feel like we're in maybe a better place right now than we were in 2001. I don't know that we are. I know it's ebbs and flows. But I will say that I'm always hopeful. I'm always hopeful that it'll get better. I'm always hopeful that people will wake up, stop being so horrible to each other, and support each other. And I will say, when things happen, like 9/11, like in January, when we had all these fires and floods and earthquakes all at once, people really stuck together. People went out and helped each other. So I would say, generally speaking, people do have good in them. and they do help when it counts. And I think that's really important to remember when troubled times occur. Anyway, thank you for listening, and that's all I have to say.